Hi there, I'm Alexander, and today we have quite the game between two chess beasts. As mentioned in the title, and be assured it ain't misleading, although this is a 3-minute time format Blitz game, I'm gonna provide you with some stats and you'll understand why the game is quite spectacular. The game has 35 moves, and one side made no mistake whatsoever, and the other made only one mistake. I mean, come on. Cheers, gentlemen. I hope you're excited as I am about it. So, game starts with e4, g6. Black gets ready to feint to his bishop. So, we have the modern defense on the board. d4, bishop to g7 as planned, and knight c3. Here we ended up with the standard line of the modern defense. Back to the game, we have d6. Black trying to control key squares like c5 and e5 and freeze that light squared bishop. White develops the dark squared bishop to e3, knight f6, and queen to d2, leaving white the option of maybe castling queenside later on. Castle by black, and bishop h6, white hoping I guess to exchange and implement his queen on h6, if black, that is, decides to take or to exchange. c5, black challenges white's pawns in the center. Bishop takes on g7, white exchanges the bishop, so king takes on g7, and we have d takes on c5, d takes on c5, and white castles queenside, which makes things even more interesting. Queen takes on d2 check, and rook takes on d2. Black continues development with knight to c6. h3, preventing future occupation of the g4 square by the knight or bishop. Black himself plays a6, taking the b5 square from the knight. Developing knight to f3. Black here seizes the initiative and pushes b5, further expanding on the queen side, trying to harass white's pieces and eventually maybe the king. White counters with e5, threatening to take the knight on f6. So knight d7, sorry. Now black threatens to win a pawn on e5, so white just pushes e6. There are maybe beginners among us who are wondering why white just gives up a pawn. So let's say black takes here on e6. Here white has the option of either developing the knight to g5 here and threaten to recapture on e6, forking the king and the rook. So this is a problem for black and it must be dealt with. Or he has the option of maybe getting his other knight involved in the game to e4 and build up an attack with the two knights against the black king. So here the key point to understand is that white gives up a pawn or sacrifices the pawn to gain activity. Back to the game. So here we have f takes on e6. And here Wesley puts a monster knight on e4. Look at it. Look at the squares it's covering. Wow, this is like a monster knight. So here we have h6. Maxime stops white's knights from getting to g5. White continues with bishop to e2. Maxime gets his rook to the active square f4, threatening to take the knight on e4. Knight retreats to g3. Black plays knight to f6, planning to move it maybe later on to d5. Here note that Maxime still has two undeveloped pieces. Okay, white has one, but still. And here he comes, Rook to e1, hitting that good old juicy semi-open file. Black pushes his pawn to e5. Here we have bishop d3 taking active part in protecting the e4 square. c4, black kicks it away, and bishop to e4. So knight takes on e4, and here we have rook takes on e4. Here Maxime calmly played the beautiful bishop to h3, taking a pawn, and if white captures it, black takes the knight on rook takes rook on f4 by Wesley. E takes on f4, getting back the piece, and threatens to win the knight if white thinks of taking bishop. So g takes on h3 as planned, and f takes on g3. Again, f takes on g3, rook d8. Maxime wants to simplify the game even further. Rook takes on d8, and of course knight takes on d8. Here let's enjoy some endgame techniques by the best. So Wesley plays a4, undermining the force of black's pawn chain. Black ignores him and moves king to f6. A takes on b5, a takes on b5, and knight d4, threatening to win a pawn on b5. So b4 is on the board. White plays king d2, getting it more in the center. King to e5, threatening knight on d4. White protects it with king to e3. King d5, and here let's admire black's active king in the center. Anyway, we have c3 on the board, stopping black's pawn from progressing further and protecting the knight on d4. So black pushes pawn to b3. White plays a h4, and here on move 32 the engine actually says it's the first mistake in the game. Here the engine preferred knight to f3. So here it is, knight to f3. Well, I guess Stockfish wanted to control key squares like g5, e5, d4, d2, and maybe later on h4 and h2. Anyway, back to the game. Let's see how Maxime capitalizes on this mistake. So we have h4. Here black couldn't have found a better time to play e5. So here knight f3, but I guess a bit too late maybe. Here we have knight b7. Black is going for white's pawn on the pawns on the queen side. Sorry. Here white plays g4, hoping to create maybe a passed pawn in the future, and stopping black from advancing further with his pawns. Here black plays knight to c5, continuing with his plan. White played knight to d2, and we have knight to a4, going for the b2 pawn. Please note, my dear audience, that these players are playing the engine stop moves in a blitz game. That's quite impressive. That being said, here White or Wesley so resigned the game. White knows that it's just losing at this point. Why did he resign? Well, let's say here White plays the best moves according to the engine. So knight to d4, and here knight would take on b2. Here with the best play we would have knight to f6 and king to e6, going for the knight. So knight would have to retreat back here to e4, sorry, and we would have knight to d3, sorry, and then he could support the advancement of black's pawn up to promotion. So anyway, hope you liked this game and analysis. If you like, make sure to subscribe, and bye for now.